On August 9th, 2012, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was an invasive, aggressive tumor on my left side. And then I had to tell my daughter, who wasn't quite 9, that her mother had breast cancer. So that was a whole other world. She handled it well, my one and only baby. My husband stood there by my side through it all. Went through chemotherapy, got pretty sick at one time, but did okay. And finally, in March, they removed a tumor in 2013, and it was over 5 centimeters large, even though they thought it was reduced to 2 centimeters. They had to remove 14 lymph nodes. 11 of them had cancer in it. So I was considered stage 4 breast cancer. So the doctors all agreed that a double mastectomy would be the best route to go. I kept going to the gym because I lived my life. That's what I was told to do, and that's what I believed I should do. God was there. I felt his presence every moment of the time. Of course, I had much family and friends, so many that were there to support me and surround me. So always felt love, always felt that this was something I can get through without any problems. In November of 2016, I was re-diagnosed. It had metastasized into my liver. The good news was it was the same original tumor, so it's called advanced breast cancer. So now I have that. I went on a study at UCLA. I was a good candidate for the study. So through this study, I've been taking oral medication instead of going back through chemotherapy. Doing an oral medication, going on 2 years, and it's gone from 5 centimeters to about small millimeter size. My oncologist there was just overwhelmed and overjoyed that she was hoping for stability, and it's gone down and decreased in size. And I told her I claimed that God would heal me and God would take care of me. Though advanced breast cancer is not curable, it's treatable. I will be on medication for the remainder of my life, but I don't feel like that's a bad thing. That is just my life. And you that are dealing with cancer, especially those of you with breast cancer, I can relate to what you're feeling, and I'd love to support you in any way possible.
And I'm a survivor of ovarian cancer. I was diagnosed at 19, and I had 1.5 ovaries removed, and I then had a couple more surgeries and then had a sliver of an ovary. I was told for years that I would not be able to have kids, and then my husband and I got married in March of last year on our honeymoon. When we came back, found out I was pregnant, and now we're here. Shortly after she was born, they went in and removed everything. I had a total hysterectomy because during my pregnancy I acquired a cyst and it grew. And so they thought maybe it was just a functioning cyst because of the pregnancy, but it continued to grow after she was born. And once everything was removed, it was ovarian cancer again. So everything is out now. Huh. Yeah. Oh. Is this your show?
Brady was my nephew. He was a little over 2 years old. They thought that he had the flu, and he just kept getting worse. And so they took him to a blood specialist, and they discovered he had leukemia. 2 months from that day, we were at a funeral. He always has a smile on his face, and he never met a stranger. He would go up to anyone and give them a hug around the knees and say, "I love you." Whenever they would come to visit us, he would be our constant source of laughter, constant source of entertainment. Every day was the best day in his life.
So this is my sister. Her name is Janet Marie Alves, and she passed away of Hodgkin's lymphoma January 9th of 2006. She was diagnosed when she was 18, and she fought really hard, but she really didn't have any luck. She went to Stanford to try to do a stem cell transplant, but her body rejected the chemo, so she just really didn't have any luck, so she fought for 2 years. She was my best friend. She was amazing. She was young, but she was my younger sister, but she was like my older sister because she was really mature. And she loved soccer, and she loved kids, and she was a free spirit. She just was so awesome. Everybody wanted to be around her. She was magnetic, like just everyone was drawn to her. And a really cool fact about her is that she was she was on varsity her freshman year and captain for her sophomore, junior, and senior year. So that just kind of like tells you that she was just a leader and just awesome. Growing up on the dairy, my dad had a dairy, and we were just crazy kids, and we'd always get into silly things. And we dressed up my little brother as a girl one time, and my dad got really mad, but that's like one of the memories I remember because we just thought it was the funniest thing ever, and my dad was so upset. And just hanging out with her, because even though she was younger than me, we still hung out all the time, and like she's my best friend.
Taking care of my father, who had pancreatic cancer, and my whole life he was 6'4" and 275. He was a big man, and as the cancer slowly took him away from us, I'll never forget, he sat on the bed and said, "What did I ever do to deserve this?" And there's no answer to that. And to see him wither away and to be able to lift him up, and care for him was very difficult, because he was always a big, strong, my hero, my dad. My dad was extremely kind-hearted. I come from a family of 8 kids. He was hardworking, taking care of all of us, keeping us all together. We did a lot of fun things together, especially camping. That was one thing that we could do as a family, is go beyond civilization and set up a tent and spend some time in the woods. And that was great memories of doing that with my dad.
My brother-in-law, his name was Leonard Garcia. He was married to my sister for 48 years, so he's like a real brother instead of an in-law and stuff. He was with our family for so long. He was full of life. You never saw him. Now, out of all the years, I never heard him once raise his voice, even when his kids were bad. He would kind of laugh it off and everything. He could talk to them. He could do more damage to you just talking to you normally than he could yelling at you. He was just an easygoing guy that you liked having around. All the barbecues, family dinners at his house, going on trips, going camping, going to Vegas, to the NASCAR races and stuff. Just being around him. He loved family. That was his main, very important to him, his family. His daughter Tammy and his son Lenny, and his pride and joy was his 2 grandsons, Tyler and Brandon. He would just love going to their games, cheering them on at the soccer and baseball and stuff. Whenever they would do good, you could just see him smiling from ear to ear. You could just see the love he had for them and the respect he gave my sister. They were married for 48 years before he passed away. They were together since they were 16 years old. So they lived a lot of life and stuff.
So my Baba was always our Santa when it came to Christmas. Loved Christmas, went above and beyond for Christmas. Not just with little things, you know, it wasn't anything big, but she just loved Christmas and the joy of it and loved all the kids getting together and everything. Well, that passed on to my mom. And my mom always had Christmas at her house. She always, you know, she loved it. She decorated her whole neighborhood. I mean, would come by her corner because she would decorate Christmas. That was her big deal. She was Little Miss Christmas. And so it was really ironic because January before she passed, the year before she passed in June, that Christmas before, she came to my house one afternoon and she bought me a couple wine glasses that were Christmas decor and this cute little reindeer, and she says, I want you to have these because you're having Christmas at your house now. And this was my second year having it because she you know, was getting sick. And so she said, I'm not going to be here next Christmas and I want you to carry on the tradition, and here's a little something. And so strangely enough, she was diagnosed in June with the brain cancer had metastasized to her brain. She didn't know this at the time, and you know, she told me that, and that will always be in my heart. And I will always have Christmas at my house as long as I'm alive because I'm gonna carry on the tradition for my mom and my Baba.
And I have a father who raised me at the age 2 and until his last day still was giving me words of wisdom. He's told me to keep striving, keep living every day. He's told me that he would never leave my side. And even though I might not be able to grab his hand or hug him, he has told me that he is always there with me. I still can hear his words, that he will be watching over me. I love him to this day, and I use his words of wisdom on how to make it day in and day out. My dad was always a hard worker, and most of us might wake up in the morning and walk barefooted into a kitchen or put on a pair of slippers. And first thing he did was put on his boots and walk over to the kitchen to get his cup of coffee. So that's one memory that always makes me smile. I don't see anybody else grabbing their boots, but it sure does bring joy in my heart.
I lost my grandpa to cancer in 2008 on October 28th, and for me it has impacted me and showed me to appreciate everything that I have and all of the people in my life and always work hard just as he did. He worked hard for everything he did and would do anything for his family, and has always instilled in me a strong sense of hard work and love and unity with family, and yeah.
that passed away. Her name is Alicia Lorena Rodriguez, I guess. I remember her picking us from like kindergarten, and I remember her driving us all the way back home, and we would fall asleep in the car. So we didn't want to get out of the car after we got home. So what she would do is like, the tree's falling, get out. So we had to wake up, and she always like tricked us that way. So that's the one memory I always remember, because we were so little. It was 3 of us, and I remember like us just faking like that we were asleep, and she'll trick us to get up.
Our Ani went to heaven 1 year ago. I love watching Dodger games and eating ice cream bars with my Ani. I love